morning, sweet world, and welcome to the No Dunks podcast on the Athletic Network. It's Saturday, July 19th, 2025. I'm Jay Skeets here in the yard. It's a solo dolo pod because, well, I just can't quit you. Shout out to everyone joining us live right now on YouTube. Let me know if you can hear me and you can see me and everything's okay. I think we're good here. Hit the like button, sub, share the show, comment away in the stream team. Also, much love to our podcast listeners as well. All right. I see people saying we're here. Yes, and yes, we're good to go. I wanted to jump on and talk a little bit about Damian Lillard. It is the weekend, but we're into our summer season when it comes to No Dunks, our summer schedule, I should say. So it's a little more sparse. So, hey, I'll jump on here on a Saturday. Let's talk it through. Because that was the big news since our last podcast. 9-time All-Star Damian Lillard has agreed to a 3-year, $42 million contract to return to the Portland Trailblazers. He's going home. Lillard's deal includes a player option in 2027-28 and then a no-trade clause. Hey, join the club. Beal out, you're in. Now it's just LeBron and Damian Lillard with the no-trade clause. As all of you all know, because you're sickos, Damian Lillard tore his left Achilles tendon in the first round against the Pacers, required surgery, meaning he's very likely going to miss the entire upcoming season. I'll be shocked if he plays a second this coming season. The Bucks waived him earlier this month. They stretched the remaining $113 million on his contract over 5 years. That allowed them to go get Miles Turner and try and keep Giannis happy, try and keep a competitive team there in Milwaukee. So Lillard will now have a 25-26 set salary of $70 million between his Portland and his Milwaukee deals. Not a bad little paycheck there. $70 million to obviously rehab and then continue there in Portland. Dame confirmed this news. I think Shams the first to have it, but he confirmed the deal. He posted a video to his Instagram of the Blazers locker room ending with a frame of a locker labeled with his name, followed by the words "together again." And then the caption he wrote, I believe, was "Rip City." That was 17 Y's on City, and I believe 9 exclamation points or marks. So he's pumped. The guy's going home. And I have some thoughts. I think I have sort of 6 distinct thoughts on Dame time resetting in Portland. I say think because, these get a little muddled together here, but let's call it 6. And we'll try and clearly go through them. The first part is just I guess how exciting this homecoming is, especially if you're a Portland Trailblazers fan and even an NBA fan. It is sort of a feel-good story. He gets to recover from his torn Achilles with a medical staff that he knows, a medical staff that he trusts. He can do it by his family, with his family. He said he was doing that regardless, if you remember. After the injury, it's hey, look, wherever I am, I'm going to be rehabbing in Portland. I'm not going to be doing it in Milwaukee, all right? So he gets to do that. And this idea that he's going to be around Portland's very young team should benefit them in terms of just what they can learn from him in the locker room, on the sidelines, sort of turn to him as a mentor, because this guy is a living legend, at least in Portland. And top 75 player of all time, for crying out loud. I think it was Blazers Edge that I saw it. They explained how the publicity and the goodwill surrounding Damian Lillard is the key win here for Portland. The actual benefit on the floor, likely not to get anywhere close to that. But man, the PR move here, especially for a franchise that is trying to be sold, let's not forget that, is huge. Again, Blazers Edge writing, Damian Lillard is, was, and will always be a glittery gem. You need a quote? You go to Lillard. You need someone to drum up interest in your team? Put a microphone in front of Lillard. Need a poster to hang on a billboard? Hi, Dame. Smile. He is the Blazers. He has been for a very long time. He wasn't for 2 years, but he's back there. And I think that means something here. Again, not going to be playing for a year, but there is this idea that he is just the face of the franchise and obviously wants to be there and be that face of the franchise. He never really wanted to go to Milwaukee, remember? Wanted to go to Miami. Joe Cronin said, screw that. You're going to Milwaukee, buddy, but we'll see you, I guess, in a few years. So he's back here. And it's interesting because Shams reported that Dame did have multiple mid-level exception and minimum offers from NBA contenders. So you see a lot of people going, wow, he really appears to be like picking family and happiness in that regard and loyalty to some extent over the idea of ring chasing. Now, I want to hear from you and the stream team and all you podcast listeners. Do you think Damian Lillard will end his career in Portland? He's 35. He'll be coming off a torn Achilles. There have not been many guys later in their NBA careers to actually bounce back and sort of get at least close to the levels prior to the injury. I mean, the list is short. People just say KD and Dominique Wilkins, right, at this point. So he's got that hill to climb. But I am curious if you think this is it. He ends there. He plays like 2-3 more years, maybe signs another deal and rides off into the sunset in Portland. Or do you think, you never know. He has the no trade clause, so he would get to help pick where he wants to go in a potential trade in the future, or obviously then sign, if he turns down his player option. I'm not sure which one I feel is more likely. I guess that he just stays there now with this decision, but maybe not. Maybe you disagree. My second point, full circle, baby. This is fun. I know you've seen the graphics either on Instagram or on Twitter, people sort of showing like the pieces that they got when they shipped out Damian Lillard and then the pieces that they still have and all those things and how they interact with one another, because Portland traded Lillard to the Bucks for Drew Holiday, Toumani Camara, and assets in 2023. And then they sent Drew Holiday to the Celtics for Robert Williams III, Malcolm Brogdon, and assets. One of those assets ultimately led to Denny Avdia, who's been really good, who had some incredible numbers for them down the stretch last year when they actually looked like a competent basketball team. So now the Blazers have both Lillard and Drew Holiday, who they just reacquired in a trade with the Celtics this offseason in the Anthony Simons deal. Plus they have Avdia, they've got Time Lord, they've got Kamara, and they have a 2029 first-round pick and 2 Bucks pick swaps. So sort of wild here. I saw some people saying the Blazers just loaned Damian Lillard to Milwaukee for 2 years. And then I guess got him back, and the interest was these other players and these other picks. Yeah, that's one way to look at it. Though you could say, they loaned him out and they get him back with a little wear and tear on him. In fact, he's sort of broken right now. So thanks for borrowing that and giving it back broken. But we'll see if he can recover and get again to, at least Milwaukee Dame type numbers, which were pretty impressive still. I mean, he still was an all-star. They didn't have a lot of team success, but obviously the guy is still one of the greatest scorers in the league when healthy. So it's just sort of funny how they now have Drew Holiday and Damian Lillard. And I'll get into that, the idea of sort of what they're doing here with this roster construction. But my third point is the Blazers books. There's a lot of money to some old guys now on this team locked up. When you look ahead, you project ahead to 2027-28, they're going to owe Holiday $37.2 million in what will be his age 37 season. Jeremy Grant, the forgotten man. I'm convinced everybody forgets Jeremy Grant is an NBA player. He makes $36.4 million in that 27-28 season. He'll be, I think, age 33, so not quite as old as Holiday or Dame. But then you throw in now Lillard's $14 million. Add that all up. That's like $87 million owed to 3 players past their prime, and some of them sort of coming back from an injury. So that's wild. I mean, again, Holiday looked like he was slipping. Jeremy Grant, as I called him, he's a forgotten guy for good reason. Now, I don't know if all 3 of those guys will be there come 27-28. I would bet on them not, but you do have to find trade partners. Good luck with the Jeremy Grant, maybe more likely with Drew Holiday if a contender sees him as a final piece. But that's a lot of money. And Sam Quinn at CBS Sports was like, that's a sort of a strange place for an ostensibly rebuilding team to be. Um, all that money to old guys, especially since most of the Blazers' young players, significant young players on their roster, will be earning, in theory, market rate money at that point because Kamara, unrestricted free agent in 27. Sharpe's got to be paid at some point through a rookie extension this offseason or restricted free agency next offseason. Scoot Henderson is in the same boat as Sharpe just a year later. So, like, these are three of their more promising, at least young guard / wing players, and they're going to have to be paid. So it's just like sort of a little odd. Again, this is a feel-good story. Cool, Dame's going back, but that's $87 million to Dame, Drew Holiday, and Jeremy Grant come 27, 28, but that's a couple of years out, and maybe moves will be made, and they probably will be. The backcourt logjam, I guess, is my fourth point here. What happens when Damian Lillard does get healthy? Like, what's going to go on here? Is he going to be comfortable coming off the bench? Is that insane? I mean, Dwayne Wade did it when he went back to Miami. He played a full year and a little bit of a second season. In 90-plus games, he barely started. But, like, is Dame doing that? Or does that depend on how Scoot Henderson / Shaedon Sharpe play this coming season when there is no Damian Lillard even out there on the floor? I think this is a huge part. Like, are these guys, Scoot and Sharpe, are they legit cornerstones to your franchise? I think the pressure is sort of there for both of them. And because, like, again, like, what are you going to have? Holiday, Dame, and then these two young guys? You could convince me you can try and start all three of them, but then you're squeezing out some of your good defensive players from the starting lineup, Kamara or Avdija being one of them. Like, so it's a huge year for me to see what type of player Scoot and Sharpe can really be. I have a lot of faith in Sharpe. Of course, that's my Canadian bias showing, but I think he is a really good player. I know he's struggled at times to stay healthy, but it's fascinating. Because the whole reason they sort of traded Damian Lillard in 23 because they had the new draft pick in Scoot Henderson. And he started very slowly, very poorly, but has shown at least promise over the last little bit. I had forgotten that Damian Lillard scored 32.2 points per game in his last Blazers season. That's crazy. 32.2. Just wild. So before he gets traded, he was still an elite scorer. And again, it was not in a lot of victories there. And maybe the frustration of why he eventually wanted out to try and go win something. But he's back, and this backcourt logjam is going to be fascinating. And I think a big part of it does depend on if Scoot and Sharpe really pop here or not. Then maybe your decision is easier when Damian Lillard returns. My fifth point. This is a little fun. I saw the Bounce have fun with it in their newsletter. Wondering where this Damian Lillard reunion could rank among other reunions we've seen over the last, let's call it 20 years or so. A few notable ones to go through. Steve Francis returning to the Rockets. Remember that? Probably not, because he only played 10 games when he came back. Obviously had success early in his career at the Rockets. I think he made 3 All-Star teams in like 5 or 6 years. And then he was off. And when he came back, played 10 games, and then he had surgery on his quad. And that was basically it. Scottie Pippen returning to the Bulls. 6-time champion when he was at Jordan. And then he's off. And when he eventually comes back, he's old. He played 23 games, Pip did. Averaged like 6 points per game in limited time. Again, these are ones where it's like, oh, bring the legend home. Allen Iverson returning to the 76ers. Similar to Pippen, but he's Allen Iverson, so he scored a whole lot more. He averaged 14 points per game in 25 games in his final year there in Philly. And that was after a cup of coffee with like the Grizzlies. Obviously, he had played in Detroit and Denver and stuff like that. But he went back to Philly. He played, call it a quarter of the season. They included in the Bounce Jason Kidd returning to the Dallas Mavericks, which I think this is completely different than these other ones for a couple of reasons. He only played like 2.5 seasons in Dallas at the start of his career when it was him, Jamal Mashburn, and Jackson, and I guess Tony Braxton. But that's not a lot, right? He comes back a decade later And he was there for a while. I think he was like there for 4 seasons with Dallas, helped them win a championship. So that's huge. But like again, a little different to me than the other ones we're naming here, where they were like legends to that franchise and then came back at the end. Ben Wallace returning to the Pistons. He did spend his final 3 seasons of his career there. He had sort of one good year, and then he really fell off. Chauncey Billups returning to the Pistons is a good one. Again, he played like 19, 20 games. Dwayne Wade returning to the Heat. Already mentioned that one. He played the most games of all these guys in a lot of cases. He played just under 100 games. He mainly came off the bench, but that's how he finished. So, and then he got a weird statue, an ugly-ass statue. They should start building the Damian Lillard statue right now. Put some work into this one. Okay? Like, let's like make it try and look like him. But I bring all those up to see or to think through like how this reunion will go. And I guess what I took away from that is like it's not usually all that amazing. And on top of that, he's coming back from an Achilles injury at 35, 36. It's like I don't know where to put the expectations. Like is Damian Lillard scoring 20 plus points per game? You know, in the year he comes back or the year after that with Portland. And then where does he start? Like I said, does he come off the bench? Is he a super sub? Is there any team success here? Do they have something with their defense? Is Chauncey Billups the coach? Like, interesting. And then the final real thought I have is, and I have a poll up on YouTube right now, and I see everybody chiming in on it. Is Damian Lillard the greatest trailblazer ever? And will this final, call it 2, 3, maybe more, years stint with the Blazers push him over the top if you don't quite have him there? Because when he left, that did spark debate over who's the greatest trailblazer of all time. Damian Lillard left as the franchise leader in points. You know, he's over 19,000, knocking on 20,000 in a Blazers uniform. Led the franchise in three-pointers, led them in free throws, ranks second in assists. He's 168 behind Terry Porter. So if he plays, at all, he's passing him there. He's third in games played behind Clyde Drexler and Jerome Kersey. Again, less than 100 games from the number 1 spot. So if he plays a year and a half, he's probably got that. He's a 7-time All-Star, 7-time All-NBA player in Portland. Damian Lillard is. So I think some people say yes. Others say no, maybe still Clyde Drexler. He was an 8-time All-Star, 5-time All-NBA in Portland. Went further more often in the playoffs. Didn't win a ring in Portland. Took him to go to Houston to get that. But Damian Lillard, they only won, 4 playoff series during his tenure. They got to the Western Conference Finals once. It's like, sounds like it should be, that sounds like that's wrong. It feels like you should add you should double that. Maybe it's because they're so iconic in how they advanced in these playoff series where he ended 2 of them. Probably that they feel like you can double it. And you're like, oh yeah, 8. Yeah, they probably won 8 playoff series. No, 4. That's it. And then Bill Walton is probably the greatest trailblazer ever, but he only played 4 seasons. But he was an MVP, won the championship. I think he was runner-up MVP the year before the year he won. But that's, again, the longevity part comes into play. It's like, is there a difference between Bill Walton was the best trailblazer, but is he the greatest? Because you want to take into account longevity, and that's where you go to Dame or probably Clyde Drexler. I think those are your only 2 options. I can't imagine somebody's making a case for Terry Porter or Rasheed Wallace or something like that. I mean, who else am I forgetting? I think those are your only guys. Dame, Drexler, or Bill Walton if you're going on just pure peak. But that to me is like, as a Raptors fan, like saying Kawhi Leonard is the greatest Toronto Raptors player ever. I mean, he was for 1 year. Yes, I believe that. No one has played better in a Toronto Raptors uniform than Kawhi Leonard. I almost called him Clyde Leonard. But again, that's sort of not what you're looking at when you're debating these things, in my opinion, right? That you're going to go with a Kyle Lowry or a Vince Carter if you want to. Some longevity, but I'm Team Lowry. So anyway, just fascinating to think through. The poll here, I might as well close it. In the end, 69% say yes. Very nice. 160 votes. That's interesting. Before we went live, that was flipped where people were saying no. So then the people came in, maybe the younger crowd came in and said, yeah, of course Damian Lillard is. And he probably is. He probably is. And it sure will help if he becomes the all-time leader in assists, like I said, in games played and starts adding to those franchise records. So that's what I got for you. I mean, I can take a look at the chat here, but I just want to get that off my chest. Damian Lillard, man, going back to Portland. What'd you think of his Instagram video? Felt like it happened all quickly. They sort of mailed that one in a little bit. This guy's usually slick with it, him and his team, when it comes to social media production. Just the panning of the locker rooms? I mean, come on. Nothing else? I swear they had to get it up quick. But, yeah, fun story. Fun story. Of course, he's not playing, like I said, but eventually we'll get there. And again, big year for Scoot and Sharpe. Any other news in the NBA worth addressing? Bradley Beal officially signed with the Clippers. I talked with Tass about the buyout with the Phoenix Suns and him joining the Clips because it was all but official on Thursday's podcast. Go check that out if you want to hear our big takeaways from that. We had Pelicans rookie Derek Queen. He's undergoing wrist surgery. He's going to be out 3 months. Like the Pelicans, man. I said this on Twitter last night. I know I've said it on the show before. They are cursed. They are absolutely cursed. Down there in New Orleans, somebody has got something on them. So that sucks for them. That's the guy, of course, they traded their unprotected pick in 26 for to move up and take. The guy hasn't played an NBA game. He looked sort of rough in Summer League for a second. Then he had one good game. When Missy wasn't out there on the floor with him, I was like, okay, yeah, maybe he should be a 5. Anyway, he's out for months. Great start for them. And Cam Thomas, he wants to fight Zach Lowe. Should we do a tale of the tape? Cam Thomas and Zach Lowe. If you haven't seen this, Cam Thomas clapping back at Zach Lowe, I guess sort of getting aggregated, right, on things he said about Cam Thomas. The gist of being just like he's a scorer, maybe there's not a lot of demand for him, like sort of black hole mentality. Cam Thomas, no, man, I get doubled more than anyone in the league. Now that's not, he's up there on the short list of guys that do get doubled. The numbers actually back that up. Part of that probably is the other teammates. You're like, yeah, we feel comfortable these other guys trying to beat us. But anyway, I didn't have that one on my bingo card. Cam Thomas versus Zach Lowe. Yeah, he wants the smoke, no doubt. He came at him. So that's what's going on in Summer League. I guess we have now hit the semifinals. I've been telling you. Oh, that was a fake account. Was it really? Oh, I legit thought it was real, but I could have been duped here, as the stream team, at least somebody is saying. Oh, I need that to be real. Please be real. It's probably more likely it's not now that you say it out loud, but I really hope Cam Thomas is upset with Zach Lowe, and that Zach Lowe's going to have to crack a beer to get over it. Semifinals, I think, today in Summer League. Yes, it's still going. I told you at the start of the whole thing, the Raptors are going to win the championship, and they are. So book it. We got a stacked team, man. We got like 7 or 8 guys that are going to play on our real team, and they're all defensive dogs. Raps are winning it. Love it. Before I go, huge shout out to No Dunks superfan Matt and his wife to be Jordan. They have been, I think they've been together like 8 years, and they're finally getting married next week. So I want to wish best of luck to the couple. He doesn't know I'm doing this, by the way. This was wife to be. This is his fiance Jordan sliding into the No Dunks DMs. Hey, do a solid for me here. This guy, he's a sicko. He's been listening forever, and I have to put up with it listening to you fools talk about basketball. So congrats to Matt and Jordan. Hope the wedding's fantastic next week. So we'll call it there. Great to see you all out here on a Saturday. Let's hear your thoughts on Damian Lillard going back to the Blazers. Love it, hate it, indifferent. Will he retire a Blazer? Is he the greatest Blazer ever? How will this reunion, late career reunion back with his original team work out compared to those other ones that we went through? People are saying Cam versus Zach is real. All right. Yes. Let's go. Now I got to create the tale of the tape. How tall is Zach Lowe? I mean, I'm trying to think. Is he my height? Zach Lowe's around my height. He's got to be 5'10", maybe 5'11". I don't think he's a 6-footer. Oh, what a I'm just laughing thinking it through, how upset he was. Um, Jordan Miller, wow, I just DM'd you guys asking if you got your invite to my wedding reception. Jordan, is this the Jordan? This can't be the Jordan. This has to be another Jordan because this Jordan is getting married to Matt. I can't keep track of all you guys getting married, but best of luck to all of you. Appreciate you. We will see you early next week, probably on Tuesday, unless anything insane happens. But I think we'll all be back in the Classic Factory on Tuesday. We'll find out if Trey Kirby hit a hole in one on his boys' golfing trip up in the Midwest. Let's hope so. Um, and yeah, I think that's about it, guys. Really appreciate you. Like I said, I do need to decide if I'm going to see F1, the movie, or Superman today. So sound off in the stream team before we go. Trying to decide. You know, I'm like people seem to have enjoyed both of them, at least in the big screen experience. Okay, look at everybody's already they're already. I mean, I hope to see both of them, but I need to pick one today to go see. Look at everybody's basically split. The stream team is going F1 Superman, F1 Superman, F1 Superman. Keep that going for the next couple hours. All right. Well, you're going to find out Tuesday which one I saw, and I'll make sure to share my opinions on it. Hit the like button, subscribe, share the show if you haven't. Podcast listeners, 5-star ratings and reviews. Let us know what you think of the odd solo dolo podcast. Just sharing thoughts. Fan, hate it, don't care, doesn't matter. All content is gold. You sickos usually feel that way, so. That's what we love to hear. All right, everybody. Have a great weekend, and we will see you early next week. Enjoy the WNBA All-Star game tonight. Peace.